CM Punk. It's a name that continues to be chanted even though he hasn't stepped foot in a wrestling ring in over 5 years. Everyone who watched wrestling from the beginning of the decade liked CM Punk. He delivered the best promos and even showed off his in-ring skills by giving fans a 5-star classic match with John Cena at Money in the Bank in 2011. CM Punk even held the WWE Championship for a total of 434 days before losing it to The Rock at the Royal Rumble. It seemed that Punk was going to be WWE's biggest star alongside John Cena. However, things with management and CM Punk continued to get worse and worse. One of CM Punk's main concerns was that he was never getting the chance to main event WrestleMania. He believed that his match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania 27 was better than Miz and Cena and should have went on last. He also thought since he was the WWE champion, it would have been a no-brainer to have him and Jericho main event WrestleMania 28, but they lost the spot to a part-timer known as Dwayne Johnson. Finally, he felt that himself and The Undertaker could have been a great match at WrestleMania 29 with the streak and the title on the line, but WWE went ahead and dropped the championship to The Rock so we could see Cena versus Rock in a rematch no one really wanted to see. This was the beginning of the frustrations with CM Punk. Moving forward, Punk also got injured a few times, and WWE doctors refused to have him heal from these injuries. This includes a problem with his back as well as multiple concussions. He was even basically forced to wrestle an entire UK tour with a concussion. His animosity with the company was building up, and it was at the Royal Rumble in 2014 when he completely snapped. He was told that he would get eliminated by Kane in the Rumble and face off against Triple H at WrestleMania 30. It's worth noting that him and Hunter didn't like each other because of when Hunter tried to bury him at Night of Champions 2011. Anyways, Punk was sick and tired of taking a back seat and allowing another part-timer, this time Batista, taking the spot in the main event of WrestleMania. He never showed up to Monday Night Raw and he practically quit the company. WWE would go on to terminate his contract and legally fire him on his wedding day. Clearly, he quit the company, but Vince McMahon was being petty with politics and he had to technically fire him so they could have the last laugh. A lot of people in the comments do not understand this. Just know that CM Punk really quit. However, today we are going to step into my DeLorean and we are going to go back in time and change history. We are going to ensure that CM Punk is happy and he stays with the company. There are going to be so many butterfly effects, and this should be an interesting alternate universe. Let's see what would happen if CM Punk never left WWE in 2014. The first year we have to jump back to is 2014, where CM Punk would leave in the beginning of the year just a day after the Rumble. CM Punk would tell Vince McMahon backstage that he wants to main event WrestleMania 30 because he feels that he deserves it. So Vince then decides to give him the entire Daniel Bryan storyline involving Triple H and working his way into the main event the same way. Therefore, the last two participants of the Royal Rumble is CM Punk and Batista instead of Roman Reigns and Batista. Just when Punk starts to pick up momentum, Triple H enters the ring and pedigrees him. Batista then throws him outside of the ring and wins the Rumble. Batista officially turns heel and his buddy helped him win the Rumble. Also, this will build up the tension between CM Punk and Triple H, who have real life hatred for each other, and it's well known. After Batista leaves to go to the back, Punk absolutely loses it on the microphone and gives us another great pipe bomb. This would be similar to the one when Bret Hart was screwed in the steel cage match and he destroyed the ring and everything inside of it. Punk's last words would be that he should have left this place in 2011, but he's done with the company right now and he leaves. For a month, Punk kayfabe quits the company and legit wrestles around the world. WWE allows him to wrestle for the storyline purposes. In the storyline, Punk would be suspended because he breached his contract. However, he would make his return to the WWE, attacking Triple H. This sparks the feud with Hunter, where they set up a match for WrestleMania 30. The same stipulation applies and CM Punk defeats Triple H to open up the show. In the main event, CM Punk also wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and holds the titles high and closes the show. He defeats Triple H, becomes champion, and main events WrestleMania 30, which is pretty much what he wanted. Life is going good for CM Punk and he signs a 5-year extension with the company. This is a very lucrative deal because CM Punk is now going to be the biggest star, with John Cena taking some time off here and there. It's worth noting that Punk was hurt around this time and needs to take a break soon to recover from injuries. Next night on Raw, he begins a feud with Cesaro. CM Punk convinces Vince McMahon to give the guy one shot, and he also won the Andre the Giant Battle Royale, so it makes sense. So they feud for 2 months. In the end, CM Punk would become victorious. The next opponent for Punk needs to be someone to take the championship away from him. Therefore, WWE finally decides to push Daniel Bryan. Since Bryan never became champion, he never injured his neck and took time away from the company. They would have a face versus face feud because both men are extremely on fire with the crowd. At Battleground, they put on a classic only for Brock Lesnar to ruin it. Lesnar just defeated the streak, and it's important to make sure he wins the title at SummerSlam. So instead of beating John Cena to win the title, Brock defeats CM Punk and Daniel Bryan in a triple threat match at SummerSlam. This is when you write off Punk from TV. Daniel Bryan continues to feud with Brock Lesnar for the next pay-per-view at Night of Champions, but nothing happens because Lesnar is way too dominant. He can't afford a loss at this moment. CM Punk, on the other hand, has been cleared to return to action since Survivor Series, but there are no plans for him at the time, so they decide to make sure he returns at the Royal Rumble in 2015. Therefore, we are now in the year of 2015, where Roman Reigns was in the spotlight and won the Royal Rumble. Things are going to change for Roman Reigns and the entire WrestleMania 31 main events. CM Punk is making his huge return in Philly as the 27th entrant in the Royal Rumble. The final 2 people in the Rumble is CM Punk and Roman Reigns. CM Punk ends up eliminating Roman Reigns, and this sets up a big rematch for the WWE Championship match, CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar. This makes a lot of sense because they have so much history. There's the feud at SummerSlam in 2013 where they had the match of the year, and now in this timeline, Lesnar literally just destroyed Punk, taking the title away from him and putting him on the sidelines for 4 whole months. The story is writing itself. As for Roman Reigns, his push does not happen here, and he isn't booed out of the building at the Rumble. If you think about it, this actually works in favor of Roman. At WrestleMania 31, Seth Rollins cashes in his Money in the Bank the same way he did in real life, and he pins CM Punk. This sets up a dream feud with CM Punk for the championship in 2015. CM Punk attempts to win the championship back, but is unable to win because Rollins really needs to have a lengthy reign, and this is the year Rollins. As for Punk, after losing that championship feud, he drops in the standings and has many feuds here and there. However, his next big feud for the year is Kevin Owens. This is KO coming off of his huge win from John Cena. Punk also loses the match, putting over Kevin Owens. CM Punk is clearly a huge fan of Kevin Owens, and he would have no problem losing to him. Seth Rollins starts a feud with Dean Ambrose, but uses cheap tactics to retain his championship. He also does the same thing with Roman Reigns. Rollins never gets injured because he never faces Kane in that match where he tore his ACL. Also, during this year, AJ Lee never leaves the company like she did in real life. She decides to stay and becomes a huge star for the company. She is even bigger than the 4 Horsewomen when they make their big debut in this year. Now we are heading into the year of 2016, and let's get right to the Rumble. The final 2 participants is Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. They eliminate each other at the same time, making themselves both the winners of the Rumble. For the first time in a very long time, we have co-Rumble winners. This means the main event of WrestleMania 32 will be the first ever Shield triple threat match: Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose for the WWE Championship. It deserves to be here instead of Battleground, which was pretty lackluster. Also, Roman Reigns wins the championship in this triple threat match, so we don't get Roman Reigns and Triple H because that feud was kind of boring. During that same Rumble, WWE teases a dream match between CM Punk and AJ Styles until others in the Rumble interfere and ruin that moment. They actually do the same storyline with Chris Jericho and AJ Styles, where they become a tag team, but instead of a week-long tag team though, they become a tag team from February through March, and they even win the titles in their first title match. But after a few weeks, they drop the titles back to the New Day after CM Punk loses the match for them. AJ Styles then shows a little frustrations with CM Punk, and their friendship is slowly fading away, and they even want a match to see who is better. So at WrestleMania 32, AJ Styles loses the match to CM Punk. Afterwards though, AJ Styles loses it and turns on Punk. The next night on Raw, CM Punk calls out AJ Styles and gets a beating from the newly formed club. CM Punk then goes on to feud with him for a couple of months before having AJ Styles beat him and move on to John Cena, who he also beats. AJ Styles also wins the Money in the Bank briefcase as well. As you can see, this heel AJ Styles is a monster. At Battleground, AJ Styles cashes in his Money in the Bank contract after the club beats up Roman Reigns. He successfully wins the match, and now the WWE Champion is AJ Styles, and he moves the title over to SmackDown Live the same way Dean Ambrose did. The roster is the exact same from real life, except CM Punk is on SmackDown and Dean Ambrose is on Raw. CM Punk restarts his feud, but this time he defeats AJ Styles because the club was drafted to Monday Night Raw. At TLC, CM Punk defeats him in the main event TLC match to become the champion yet again. Dean Ambrose would not become the champion this year because of CM Punk, and that pretty much wraps up 2016. The next year is 2017 and CM Punk is the WWE champion. WWE wants to give John Cena his 16th WWE championship win, and I think there would be no better person to feud with than CM Punk. John Cena and CM Punk had one of the better feuds in the 2010s, and they never had their proper WrestleMania match. Therefore, John Cena vows to win the Royal Rumble and challenge CM Punk at WrestleMania 33. AJ Styles uses his rematch clause for the Rumble, but loses and Punk retains. John Cena does not win the Royal Rumble. Instead, Brock Lesnar is the winner and he will be challenging Goldberg for the Universal Championship. Orton never wins the Rumble and does not become the champion at WrestleMania 33. Now, at Elimination Chamber, WWE holds a #1 Contenders Chamber match. The winner faces CM Punk at WrestleMania 33. John Cena obviously ends up winning this match. On the next episode of SmackDown, Cena comes out to respectfully shake his opponent's hand for their match at WrestleMania. CM Punk comes out from behind out of the crowd and strikes him with a few chair shots. Punk then goes to the stage and sits down on a chair with a microphone, dropping another famous pipe bomb 6 years later after his legendary one in 2011. He talks about how Cena is undeserving and that Cena is always in the spotlight of everything. He says that he will make sure Cena loses this match and will never get another shot at the WWE Championship. This means we have the return of heel CM Punk, and that's always a good thing. John Cena now has a challenge ahead of himself. Fast forward to WrestleMania, and John Cena would defeat CM Punk to become the WWE Champion for the 16th time in his life, tying the record with Ric Flair. However, John Cena was a part-timer around this time, and he was leaving the company shortly to film a lot of movies. Therefore, his run only lasts for about 6 weeks, and CM Punk makes a new faction to take down John Cena. If you're wondering what faction that is, it is Sanity. Punk could be the perfect leader for that group, and it could be what the Straight Edge Society was supposed to become. CM Punk would win back his championship at Backlash, and Sanity becomes the most dominant group in 2017, and CM Punk holds onto that championship for that entire year, destroying everyone in his path. This includes beating Randy Orton, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, and Jinder Mahal. Yes guys, unfortunately Jinder Mahal never wins the championship in 2017. Moving on to 2018, and CM Punk holds the championship from Backlash in 2017 all the way through 2018. However, this is going to be an important year for the New Day. If you didn't know, CM Punk is really close friends with Kofi Kingston, and during this time he's been pushing to drop the championship to Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania 34. Kofi does have the New Day with him, so they can even out the odds with the Sanity group. Kofi Kingston wins the Royal Rumble and will go on to wrestle against CM Punk for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 34. Also, Kofi definitely deserved a Royal Rumble win because of all the things he did in the past. Sanity and the New Day have both been banned from ringside, and we need to see a clear one-on-one match with no cheating. Therefore, CM Punk loses clean to Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania, dropping the championship. This would mean that we never get the AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura dream match, which was kind of underwhelming. After this match, CM Punk moves over to Raw because he's been on SmackDown from 2016 through 2018, and they want to make things fresh. Sanity stays on SmackDown Live, and Eric Young becomes the leader. With the help of CM Punk, they are a serious and dominant group who do well on SmackDown by themselves. When Punk moves over to Raw, his first feud is with Seth Rollins for the IC Championship. Of course, Rollins would retain and remain champion. After that feud, he moves on to a new talent to wrestle with that he hasn't been in the ring with, and it's Demon Finn Balor. Thankfully, Balor does not feud with Baron Corbin. Instead, CM Punk puts him over and his demon character at SummerSlam. After losing both to Rollins and Balor, CM Punk decides that he needs to befriend someone new, and therefore he chooses Drew McIntyre and they become a tag team. This would be similar to Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, but instead it's CM Punk. They are using CM Punk's popularity to help push Drew McIntyre. Punk has been champion multiple times, and this would be a nice change. They actually win the tag team championships and make the division feel super important. In the end of the year, they are still champs and no one can stop them. Towards the beginning of 2019, they begin a feud with the Authors of Pain, and that is when things fall apart. They drop the titles to AOP, and Drew McIntyre is pretty much fed up with CM Punk. This leads to a CM Punk face turn and a huge money match at WrestleMania 35. CM Punk would finally beat the heel in the feud and defeat Drew McIntyre in an entertaining match. The two end their program and CM Punk moves over to SmackDown Live during the Superstar Shakeup, but at this point it's not even a shakeup because of the wild card rule. CM Punk begins a feud with Andrade Cien Almas, and that would be a personal dream match, so I included it. CM Punk starts to win matches because Fox wants Punk to become the champion when the show moves over to the network. So after defeating Andrade, CM Punk goes on to defeat Shane McMahon because Shane claims he is the best in the world and he's using all of his power. CM Punk beats him and gets him fired from being the commissioner of SmackDown Live. KO does not get this spot in the feud with Shane McMahon because Punk is a much better anti-authority figure, and this would build him up as a beast. Around this time, Daniel Bryan defeats Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania 35 and goes on his vegan run. The first feud of SmackDown on Fox would be Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. They are both the top two superstars on SmackDown Live, and it's October 2nd, the first show on Fox. This is when Daniel Bryan loses his championship in the main event and CM Punk wins it. Punk goes on another title reign, but it doesn't last too long. So now I'm just gonna highlight 2020 through 2023. So in these final 3 years of this video, CM Punk would start a new feud with Randy Orton for the championship. Orton is victorious, and around February he becomes a champion once again. CM Punk is unable to win back the championship, and at WrestleMania 36 is a dream match with Aleister Black. Of course, Black would defeat CM Punk. Punk's pretty much done everything on Raw and SmackDown, which is why they decide to have him on NXT to help with the ratings war against AEW. This leads to so many great matches with Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Matt Riddle, Velveteen Dream, and the Undisputed Era. He would have one run with the North American Championship, but not the main NXT Championship, because honestly that's for the younger talent like Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, and Velveteen Dream. Punk would be 40 years old around this age and still have so many years of wrestling ahead of himself, but he would slowly begin to wrestle only for 2 more years because I don't think Punk is the type of guy to wrestle for a long period of time. I feel like at the age of 42 he would want to retire from wrestling and only put over other talents during his time from 40 to 42 across NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. So CM Punk's last match would be against Tommaso Ciampa at WrestleMania 38. I think it would be a great rub for Ciampa to defeat him because he would be even more over as a heel at this time. Also, Ciampa is a perfect great opponent for CM Punk because he knows how to build a storyline the same way CM Punk does. After this match, the next year in 2023, Punk would be inducted into the Hall of Fame. He would make special appearances here and there, but that's pretty much it. CM Punk would ultimately be living his life, enjoying it with his wife AJ Lee being retired. Now let's do a recap of things that happened. So first, CM Punk would take Daniel Bryan's spot for WrestleMania 30 and feud with Triple H, and then go on to win the WWE Championship to close the show, finally main eventing a WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan would never get injured or leave the company to recover and retire. AJ Lee would also stay with the company because it isn't awkward. She would be the top woman in the company today. CM Punk would win the 2015 Royal Rumble and face Brock Lesnar at another WrestleMania where he main events. Roman Reigns would never be hated and shoved down our throats. Seth Rollins would never tear his ACL. The Shield triple threat match would take place in main event WrestleMania 32. AJ Styles would feud with CM Punk instead of Dean Ambrose in 2016, where Punk would win back the WWE Championship. We'd finally get John Cena versus CM Punk at WrestleMania, and Cena would win his 16th championship. CM Punk would join Sanity and dominate 2017 with the faction. Kofi would win the Rumble and get his WrestleMania moment a year earlier against CM Punk instead of Daniel Bryan. CM Punk would then feud with Daniel Bryan to win the WWE Championship on the first show of SmackDown on Fox. CM Punk would then move over to NXT in 2020 and feud with those guys. He would then retire at WrestleMania 38 against Tommaso Ciampa. Finally, he'd be inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2023 and then enjoy life with his wife AJ Lee. Overall, that is what would happen if CM Punk never left WWE in 2014. And that is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Pllana, and I'll see you all on the next video.